He's bored. They're just taking pictures.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't look at it. I just didn't figure it out.
All right, Texas State Fair, how we doing? You guys having fun out here today?
Yeah.
Everybody been riding the rides?
Yeah.
No. Yeah? No, I'm looking for a scouting report. There's one day left and I haven't ridden any yet. Which one? Which one? The fun house? All right, I'm gonna go check that one out because you recommended it. What about fried food? Anybody get anything good to eat out here? Yeah, you got the fried jello? Yeah, it was good? All right, maybe tomorrow I'm gonna get in there and try that. Well, welcome everybody out here to Clydesdales. Now, Clydesdales are one of the draft horse breed. They're not the biggest. Belgians and Shires can certainly be bigger than Clydesdales. But Clydesdales certainly are the prettiest of the drafts. Yes, no. May agree, may disagree. I'm biased, but that's my opinion. Now, Clydesdales originally come from Lanarkshire, Scotland, in the River Clyde region. And there they were used for pulling coal, pulling lumber, and of course, pulling beer. Now, it was said the quality of a brewmaster's product was solely based on how far his team of draft horses could pull that beer in one day. Well, they call Budweiser the king of beers. I think it reigns true, don't you? You know any other draft teams out there pulling beer? No? Well, if you do, send them our way. I think we could take them down. Now, Budweiser and Clydesdale, those names go hand in hand, right? A lot of people think we're the only people with Clydesdales. I had a lady asked me today if we own the rights to breed Clydesdales. Any people with any Clydesdales left in the world. But that's not the truth. We just happen to own the largest herd of Clydesdales in the United States. And our history over 83 years ago goes back to a very important date in American history. And that's April 7th, 1933. And we got any history buffs out there? Remember what date that marks? Yes? The end of Prohibition, that's correct. Now on April 7th, 1933, our government repealed Prohibition. And now during Prohibition, it was Augie Sr.'s goal to keep our brewery open. You know, he wanted to keep all his brewery family employed, keep food on all their tables, very admirable of him. And because we weren't able to make, produce, and sell alcohol, we had to adapt. We made some other products. We made a Bevo Cola. Anybody know the Bevo Fox, Bevo Cola? All right, well, we made Bevo Cola. It was like a malt soda beverage. We made a hop tea. We even sold our yeast as a baker's yeast. You know, basically we sold all the pieces of the puzzle. You got a chemist, take it home, mix it up in the bathtub, let it sit for a couple weeks in the right proportions. You have yourself a nice little Budweiser homebrew, right? You know, everybody else is doing it. We figured we'd adapt and survive doing that, and we did. Not very successful, but we made it through Prohibition. And as the story goes, on April 7, 1933, Augie Jr. and Adolphus III wanted to get their father a gift to celebrate the end of Prohibition. And at the time, 1933, they said, hey, Dad, you know, come on outside. They lived at the brewery at the time. They said, come out the brewery. Yeah, come check out this 6-horsepower toy we got you. You're going to love it. He goes, boys, we can't afford a car. You know, 1933 cars were certainly popular, but definitely expensive. He goes, we barely made it through Prohibition. We can't afford a 6-horsepower car. Well, that law allowing us to make some money. So we took that first case of post-Prohibition beer to him. And the Clydesdales were born. The traveling marketing Clydesdale team was born. And now we've been on the road over 83 years, as I said, doing all kinds of marketing events. Anheuser-Busch happens to have the largest herd of Clydesdales in the United States. We have about 150 head in our herd. That number will fluctuate based on our breeding stock. We have 5 different farms we keep those horses at, and 3 of those farms are made up of traveling teams like you see the one in front of you. We had 3 teams attend that travel. We split it up regionally. We got an East Coast team based out of our brewery in Merrimack, New Hampshire. Now remember that, we'll come back to them. We of course have a team out of our flagship brewery, our St. Louis brewery. They cover the middle. And then standing before you here, we've got our movie stars, our West Coast team. 6 of these guys have been in commercials before. That puppy one you guys all love. And these guys are travel out of the West Coast Brewery in Fort Collins, Colorado. Now we've got a rigorous show schedule. We do about 330 days of travel every year. On average do about 200 to 250 shows. We only spend about a month in Fort Collins. We're hardly ever there, and if you do catch us there, you're lucky. Because like I said, we only spend about a month there for about a week at a time. Now those horses that you see in front of you are part of that road crew. The only horses in Fort Collins is this road crew you see before you. And they're going to come to us. Ideally, they'll come from within our own breeding program. So we'll talk about one of our 5 farms right off the bat here. That farm's called Warm Springs Ranch. It's located in Boonville, Missouri, and that's where we do all of our breeding. Now, if y'all like to do tours out there, it's right outside Columbia, about halfway between Kansas City and St. Louis. You're more than welcome to do tours. You just got to schedule those tours ahead of time. And make sure you schedule them before you go, because if you go without scheduling a tour, they will turn you away. Unfortunately, there's not a lot else going on in Boonville, so make sure you schedule those. Now, out there, you're going to see our breeding farm. That's where we keep our studs, our mares, and our foals. Ideally, these guys are going to come from within that system. We got a horse standing to the tent side over here, Manson. He came up through that system. And the reason I know that is Manson came from his mother named Marilyn. That's our naming convention. We name our horses based off their mother's first initial. Now Manson on the other side, same as Archie, they have similar markings. As you see, all these guys are going to have those markings. And in order to be on our team, one of our requirements is you got to be 18 hands or greater. Now hands, y'all know what a hand is? We'll take a little sidestep. Yeah, you got 2 of them. You have 4? Man, 4 hands. I imagine the work you could get done. Now, when we measure horses, we measure them in hands. You know, you gotta remember, before the metric system, we were measuring horses. And when we measure a horse in hands, we measure them from the ground up to the highest point on their neck and their heads down, a point we call the withers. About where the mane meets the shoulders, right about where that collar sits. And 18 hands, it's about 4 inches, so 18 hands is about 6 foot. Now, I'm about 6 foot, so these guys are clearly taller. But in order to be on our traveling team, you gotta be at least 18 hands or greater. Now, because of that, we show male geldings out here on the road. Mainly because the mares don't make it that high. You know, if we got a mare who's 18 hands, nothing against her for pulling the wagon. But quite frankly, she's gonna be more valuable with those genetics at our breeding farm making big horses. You know, this is a marketing tool after all, and the bigger we can get these guys, the more impressed you're gonna be, right? You're gonna go home and tell everybody about it. You're gonna wanna drink a Budweiser. So when it comes down to it, the bigger we can get them, the better. And our 18-hand mares are therefore going to be more valuable at our breeding farm. Now out at our breeding farm, those 18-hand mares are going to give us big horses, but hopefully they're also going to give us horses with the right markings. And in order to be a Budweiser Clydesdale out here on the traveling team, they have to have 4 white socks, the brown or beige color body, a dark mane and a dark tail, as well as a white blaze you see on their face. Now Clydesdales, they can be black, they can have black legs, they can be gray, but those markings that you see here are what we're denoting or what we look for on our traveling teams. Now those horses, those male horses out there in Boonville that have those right markings, we're going to move them on to our next minor league program, and that's in Grant's Farm right in the heart of St. Louis, right off Gravois Road. Highly suggest doing tours out there. You can just show up and take those, but there's a whole zoo across the street here. Like I said, we'll put them where we like them, but they're going to rotate through, and usually our biggest 5 horses will split the back 5 spots. Our smaller 5 guys will split the front 4 spots. And back here today, we've got what we call our wheel horses, and in the wheel today we got Archie and Manson. Now the reason that these guys are in the wheel is they're big and strong. Our wheel horses are going to set the pace for the rest of the team. They're going to do the braking, and they're the only 2 horses on the 8-up hitch that have this strap across their haunch, what we call a britchin strap. And that britchin strap actually allows them to put the wagon into reverse. So they're the only 2 horses on the 8-up hitch that can do that. Now they tend to be our biggest guys because they carry the bulk of the work. And in front of them we have what we call our body team. They're our next biggest horses. And today in the body we've got our young boys. We've got Frankie and Century. And our body team's our next biggest set of horses because they're going to help those big guys in the back do that pulling. They're going to help offload some of that weight that they're pulling. So therefore they are going to be our next biggest set of horses. Now in front of them today we've got our swing horses, and today we've got Kelso and we've got Payday in the swing. And these 2 horses are called swing horses for exactly that reason. Now this here is the original 18-wheeler coming down the road. As well as that pretty high step, they're going to be almost in unison as they're going. Now speaking of that martingale and this britchin strap, there's a few other pieces you see these guys are wearing. And that's what's going to allow them to pull this beautiful 1903 turn-of-the-century antique Studebaker wagon. Now hold up a minute, Studebaker, anybody ever have one? Same company, they stopped making wagons and started making cars. And this beautiful 1903 Studebaker wagon has been painstakingly restored so we can bring it out here and show it off to y'all. It's been hand-painted, updated. We added a few bells and whistles, new sound system so we can play off our Budweiser theme song as we go down the road, as well as those beautiful Budweiser boxes that I'm sure y'all are dying to help us finish, right? Well, don't worry, we were smart enough. We finished all the beer in there before we got out here, before we put them up there. Now that wagon weighs about 7,000 pounds. All these horses out here weigh between 2,000 and 2,200 pounds. Archie and Manson combined probably weigh about 5,000 pounds roughly, a little bit less. But each horse can play a full, long, elongated career, you know, like Brett Favre. They never want to retire, like Mike. Then you got other guys that, you know, maybe should have retired years ago. So when it comes down to it, it really is all based on the horses, based on their temperament, based on their health, based on their mentality. Now, as I said, Mike's 16 years old, and if Mike had it his way, he would pull himself into the grave. Mike shows up every day with his hard hat on. He's got a lunch packed. He's got a snack and even a dessert, because he loves his job, and he gets mad when he gets left behind. Now, when Mike is ready to retirement, he's getting to be about that age. I think we're going to be retiring here soon. Usually between about 16 and 18, we like to retire our horses. You know, they'll kind of let us know when they're ready. And usually between 16 and 18, we like to retire them so they can live out a happy retirement. Now, when we do retire these horses, there's a number of things we might do with them. First and foremost, we'll send them to one of our farms where they'll be a picture horse. Now, that's the life, let me tell you. I'd apply if they'd let me. Basically, those horses just get fed, groomed, and stand and take pictures at our farm all day long. Let people pet them, stand there and look pretty. I thought I'd be good at it, but I don't have the markings for it. They are also a St. Louis-based company like ourselves, and we've set up an awesome partnership with them where they can do diet testing. They set the diets for these guys out here on the road. They tell us what to feed. And as a result, we put their logos on our buckets, and they sponsor the grains that we feed these horses. Now, being so big, you may have noticed they have some pretty big feet. And those feet are like hooves, is what we call them, and they're like our keratin nail, like our fingernail. And you know what they say about big feet, don't you? Big shoes. And that being said, my horse people out there, they all wear about a size 10. And all the horse people are like, jeez. It's like